welcome to the Anne of Green Gables Block Party. I'm Frances Dowell, and I'm your host. I'm a quilt fiction author and a children's book author, and Anne of Green Gables brings together my love of great stories, children's books, and, well, quilts, at least the Block Party does. This is our first video. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I am the host of the Quilt Fiction Podcast, and I write quilt fiction. I have several novels and a bunch of short stories, and these are available via audio over at Quilt Fiction Story Guild on Patreon. Everything I talk about here will be linked below. I hope you'll come and check us out. It's a nice community. Lots and lots of quilting stories, recipes, and a weekly podcast in which I talk about quilting and books and all kinds of things. I'm so excited to be doing this block party. I love Anne of Green Gables. Now, I should tell you, I did not read it as a child, which really surprises me because my father, who like me is a voracious reader, made it a point to get me great books for my birthday and Christmas. And we're talking Charlotte's Web, one of my first books that I ever read, my first chapter books, and Stuart Little and Trumpet of the Swan, and then Little Women and The Little Princess, all the classics, Island of the Blue Dolphins. I read great books growing up, and you think I would have read Anne of Green Gables, and somehow my dad missed it, and somehow I missed it because I was a kid who went to the library and just started going through the stacks to see what was there. I judged books by their covers, so maybe that's it. Maybe the edition of Anne of Green Gables in my library just didn't appeal to me. I don't know how I missed it, but I did, so I read it as an adult. I have to tell you what I did. One of the things that I would do with my kids when they were little is they liked to drive the car. So we would sit in the driveway and they would drive the car, and I would sit in the passenger seat and read. And we had so much fun doing it. It was great. And that's where I started reading Anne of Green Gables. Can't remember now why I picked it up, but as soon as I did, I loved it and felt a little bit sad that I hadn't read it as a girl. So recently, I don't know exactly how I got this idea, but I thought, you know what I want to do? I'm going to read Anne of Green Gables out loud for the Story Guild over on Patreon. And then I thought, I'll put it on the Quilt Fiction YouTube channel as well. This will be fun. I love reading out loud. It's one of the sad things to me that I don't have small children at home anymore. I haven't had small children at home for a long time, but that I don't do as much reading out loud. And it's actually one of the things I love doing about quilt fiction. I write these novels and then I read them. And it's so much fun that I thought this would be a fun project. I came up with it in September, which is such a good month for dreaming about cozy things to do in the fall. And that was the cozy thing I decided to do. And then, because I can't have enough projects, I thought it would be really fun to come up with an Anne of Green Gables block periodically. Maybe not every chapter. In fact, I don't know, there may be 50 chapters in the book. Maybe not that much, not that many, but enough where I was like, yeah, I'm not going to come up with that many blocks. But I thought maybe every few chapters I could come up with an Anne-related block. And this, I don't know if we can see this, is our first block. And it's called Anne's White Way of Delight. So here we go. And actually, it's based on the Road to Heaven block. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, I want to remind you where the White Way of Delight comes up in the book. It's very close to the beginning. It's when Matthew is taking Anne to Green Gables for the first time and what might be the last time. And it's June. This is up at Prince Edward's Island, where I've never been, but I would like to go one day. And the cherry trees are in blossom, so their white petals are every way. And when Anne asked Matthew what this road is called, this is the road up to Green Gables, what is it called? And he's like, well, folks call it the Avenue. And Anne is like, no, that does not work. So if you know Anne, you know how she loves to rename things or just give things names. Like there's a chapter in which she asks Marilla what Marilla calls the geranium that's in a pot at the windowsill. And Marilla's like, why? Why would you name a geranium? And Anne's like, everything gets a name. And she names the geranium Bonnie. Bonnie, that's nice. Anyway, so she is quite appalled that this road, this magnificent road with its cherry blossoms, all, fluttering around like snow and what have you, does not have a name, or it does have a name, and it's such a pedestrian name, the Avenue. And she's like, no, this will be the White Way of Delight. And it's so Anne. A few minutes later, she meets Marilla and asks Marilla to call her Cordelia, which of course Marilla will not do. One of the things about Anne of Green Gables that I love, there are many things I love. One, I love that as an adult, I can read it and enjoy it, I think, just as much as if I'd read it as a kid. Of course, I'm going to have a different reading experience as an adult. And this is what I think truly great children's books can be read on a lot of different levels, and they can be enjoyed by adults as well as children. But as adults, we see or understand that there's a lot more darkness in Anne's story than we might have picked up on as a child. We also might understand how brilliant L.M. Montgomery the author was, to pair Anne with Marilla. Well, and Matthew too. They are the perfect pairing. Marilla, with her down-to-earth common sense, her utter lack of imagination in some ways. She is not an imaginative woman. She is practical. She has work to do. And in comes Anne Shirley, who is nothing but imagination. Her favorite thing is talking about the scope of her imagination, or the scope of the imagination. And of course, this is a survival strategy for her. As kids, we don't know that. We don't understand that. We just understand that we are in the company of just this wonderful, fun girl who is our friend, right? Who immediately we just are friends with. Unless, I guess there are probably some kids who read and go, she talks too much and she makes me crazy. Anne of Green Gables is not for them. That's okay. Not every book is for every person, but most of us, and I can imagine as a kid, either wanting to be friends with Anne or just wanting to be Anne, because I was also imaginative, though not quite so talkative. And I will say, reading Anne of Green Gables out loud, some passages are exhausting. They really are, because Anne speaks in entire paragraphs. In any event, she's an imaginative child paired with a very down-to-earth plain woman. And it's great. They play off each other really well. I think they're very good for each other. But back to the block. As I said, this block, which we are calling Anne's White Way of Delight, is really based on a block called The Road to Heaven. And like a lot of traditional blocks, I found this block actually in the Jenny Byers block book. There are two really comprehensive block books, and one is the Jenny Byers and the other is Barbara Brackman's. Now, for a long time, Barbara Brackman's was out of print, and I looked around for years for it and couldn't find it at a good price because I'm very cheap. So I got the Jenny Byers book for Christmas. I think I asked for it for Christmas. And that's been my resource. Although now I think the Brackman book may be back in print, or she has it available for print on demand purchase. But at this point, I'm just like, is that too much? Maybe not. I love traditional quilt blocks, and I love them for all kinds of reasons. Although I will tell you, I'm a bit more of a modern quilt maker. Although I feel when it comes to quilts, I'm omnivorous, and there are times where I really love just doing traditional quilt blocks, using a pattern or making up my own pattern using traditional blocks. It's just relaxing. And one thing you should know about me, and you will learn about me as a quilter as we go along and spend more time together in the block party, is that I am not the world's most precise quilter. I do not celebrate that as some great rebellious act of mine. I don't know why I'm not more precise. I really need an AccuQuilter. I don't have one, and I'm cheap, so I won't get one. But you're going to see how much I struggle. If you are a precision quilter, just I hope, just be here for the party. Be here for the party, and and I hope you have some grace for me. All right, the Road to Heaven block. I'm going to hold this up. It has many names, including Hovering Hawks. Am I holding this up right? I think so. Hovering Hawks, Ocean Wave, and Triple X. Yes, but it's one of these blocks, and I'm going to put a picture up here in a second where you see 4 blocks together. It makes delightful patterns when put up with many other Road to Heaven blocks. And I just thought also, given the nature of the Anne of Green Gables story and her love of Green Gables, her delight in the white way of delight, it seemed like Road to Heaven, a block called Road to Heaven, was apropos, right? Because she is on the road to heaven in a way, in a manner of speaking. So this is one of those blocks that if you are not, hold it up again, hello. If you're not an experienced quilter or a long-time quilter, might look complicated. This is a block that is actually very easy to make. I like to make my half square triangles 8 at a time. I am going to put up a video that shows you how to do that in my own funky fashion. Again, don't come here for precision, come here for joy and love of literature. But I will have that linked. So if you've not done half square triangles this way, 8 at a time, you can give it a try. I'm also going to link to a handout that I found on a different site. And I'm going to link to this handout of charts that has all kinds of 2 at a time method. It's got the 4 at a time method and the 8 at a time. There's also a 16 half square triangles at a time method. I have really not investigated that. That just seems like too much. That's too much. 8 is enough. 8 is enough. So I will link to that. So if you want to try that, it really is a great way to knock out a lot of half square triangles fairly quickly. Now I have to say I make my half square triangles bigger than they need to be so I can trim them so they're actually half square triangles and not oblong weird shapes that don't really fit together. Let's get going on how to put this first block, Anne's White Way of Delight, together.